everyone, welcome back to Blue Piano Soaps. Ellen here, and I am having to voice over the beginning of this video. Still having trouble with my microphone, but by the end of the week that is going to be resolved one way or the other because I'm just tired of it. It starts to work for a little bit, then it stops. Then I think I have to go buy another one, then it starts to work, and you know how that goes. Anyway, let's get going with this video. So what I'm making today is I'm making some soap favors for a baby shower for a friend of mine. Her son and his significant other are having a baby boy, and they're having a small baby shower. And the mama to be, she likes sort of woodsy scenes, woodsy animals like raccoons and foxes and owls. And so I remembered that I had this silicone mold owl mold, and I thought what cute baby favors this mold could make. And so I went and grabbed it from my fall stash because I had it with my fall soap molds. And I am going to go ahead and I am going to make some owl soap favors. Now the colors that I'm going to use for these soap favors is I'm going to do the white, which means no colorant. It is the color of the melt and pour base that I'm using, as well as some additional goodies that I put in there, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. I'm also going to do the owls in gray, in a light gray, and then I'm going to do them in red, reddish brown colors. Those are kind of the muted, kind of natural earthy tones that this mom-to-be has chosen for her colors, and so the shower decorations are kind of those colors as well. So let's get started. So what I like to do with my melt and pour base is I'd like to go ahead and melt it in a crock pot. And of course this crock pot is used only for soap. I'm often still amazed that when I am on some soap chat rooms or some soap Facebook pages, that there are people that actually ask the question, can I use a crock pot that I cook in before and after I soap? No, you cannot use a crock pot that you use with food to use with soap making. This is a crock pot that I use only for soap. I have several of them. I usually buy them when there's like a Black Friday sale going on at the holidays, or when I just find one that is a real bargain, and I use it for a while, and then when it starts to get in bad shape, I toss it out. It just simply is not used in my kitchen and is not used with food. What I'm showing you here is my melt and pour base came from Wholesale Supplies Plus. It is a crafter's choice melt and pour base. I believe it was some sort of sale that was going on where it was quite a big, large amount of it for a very reasonable price. I have had it for a while, and I've just been chipping away at it because, again, I don't really use melt and pour soap base that much, but for this purpose, for these soap favors, it's going to be just fine. So in my crock pot, I have the melt and pour, which I chopped up into little cubes. It's very important that you cut up the soap into equal cubes. It's kind of the same theory of when you cook. If you cut up, potatoes, some much larger than others, they're not going to cook evenly. And it's the same thing with melt and pour soap. If you have larger pieces and smaller pieces, they're just simply not going to melt the same way at the same time. So I cut up my melt and pour base into cubes. put it in my crock pot, and then to the crock pot I added 2 tablespoons of sweet almond oil, 2 tablespoons of castor oil. I added 2 tablespoons of shea butter and 2 tablespoons of cocoa butter. I also add colloidal oatmeal to any melt and pour base that I make. So at this point, this has melted on low in my crock pot. Probably took about, I'd say, a half hour maybe to melt. And here I'm showing you that I'm adding. I like to go, I like to just get oatmeal from the baby section. It's much thinner, it's not as grainy, it's just a really nice texture to it, and I add probably about 3 tablespoons of that to the crock pot. I don't add it while the base is melting. I always add it just before I'm about to pour. Sometimes I think if you add it while it is melting, it tends to just break up that oatmeal and kind of defeats the purpose of it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add the oatmeal. And I'm going to give this a good stir. And then we are going to be ready to add in our fragrance oil. So at this point, I have decided that I am going to split this sort of base that I melted in two, because I'm going to make some of it the light gray and the rest of it, I think, the white color. So right there you saw me add some Nurture Soap Pearl Gray Mica to some of my, I'm just going to call it a batter, but it's a base. It's a melt and pour base, but I'm just so used to saying batter. But I've gone ahead, I've put in there probably about a teaspoon of that Pearl Gray from Nurture Soap Supply. I am really loving Nurture Soap Supply's colorants. They have kind of become my favorite, I have to say. What you see on the package, the color you see, it's you know, it's true. It's like that's the color that you get when you use it. So I am really, really loving the Nurture Soap Supply colorants. So I've just gone ahead, I've added like that teaspoon to half of this melt and pour base. I think I decide, yep, I decide I want a little bit more. I want it a little darker. It really makes a beautiful gray. I don't know if you can really quite see it there, but I call it kind of like a French gray. Really, really pretty. And so at this point, all we have to do is add the fragrance oil. I used a vanilla lavender fragrance oil from Crafter's Choice from Wholesale Supplies Plus. Yes, it does have some vanillin in it. So it's going to discolor, it's going to become a little darker and with tint of brown in it, but that's okay because that's kind of the colors we're going for. So I thought that this would be a good choice to use that fragrance. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pour it into my molds, and then I'm going to bring you back to show you the unmolding, to show you how cute they came out. Then I'm going to make a couple other colors, or I think maybe I'll make the brown and the red color, and then I am going to show you how we wrap these. They came out just adorable.
send her the heart covered as a gift, and hope that you'll take it into her side.
Okay, so here we have a another batch of the melted melt and pour. Because I only have the one mold, I'm doing this in small batches. Obviously, if I had 3 or 4 sets of this mold, I could fill that crock pot and do one big batch, but because I only have the one mold, I'm doing it in smaller batches. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that sort of tan reddish brown. I am using, I believe, Brambleberries copper mica. I think it's something like copper sparkle mica, something like that, and it's from Brambleberry. I like it a lot. It kind of gives a light color, a lighter color than that mold of the owls that you see there. And it's a little shiny. So let's go ahead and let's make the sort of brown owls, adding some of my oatmeal there right before I pour. Going to add the fragrance oil in, and we are going to be good to go.
Over the hills and far from wide, she's waiting for love to be realized. I'll send her the heart covered as a gift, and hope that you'll take it into her side.
We can go ahead and unmold the sort of reddish tannish color owls. They came out really cute. I pretty much waited just a half hour in between pouring and then taking them out of the molds. They really harden up very quickly. That is, again, the beauty of melt and pour. They came out adorable, and I'm going to show you how I went ahead and packaged them next.
Over the hills and far from wide, she's waiting for love to.
All right, guys, so here they are. They came out so cute. I went ahead and I just packaged them in a cellophane clear bag. I put my logo and ingredient label on the back. In the front, there is a blue bow that says it's a boy because this wonderful couple is having a boy. And then I also have a tiny blue ribbon that is holding a little charm. It's hard, the camera doesn't pick it up, but it's a heart and it says thank you. And I did that because the host of the shower really wanted favors that said thank you. So there is a little heart there with a charm. and they say thank you. So there's a gray one, there's a white one. They are so cute, and I know she is just going to love them. So let me go ahead and show you what I did. Couldn't be simpler. I take a cellophane bag. Remember that they have to be clear and they have to be little harder than just plain plastic. So they're called PVC clear cellophane bags. I get them from Amazon. I believe this size might be, I think this is probably an 8 by 11 maybe. I went ahead, I put the owl in the very corner, one corner of the bag. There's a little triangle piece that will stick out the end, but you put it in the corner, your soap in the corner, and then you just go ahead and gather it at the top. And I was kind of off camera there. I apologize for that. But what I'm doing is I'm just kind of fluffing out the top part of the bag, just kind of straightening it out. You really want to tighten or pull up that bag because you don't want it super wrinkly. You want it really clear. You want to see the contents of the bag really clearly. I went ahead, I chopped a piece of ribbon there. I think if you've watched my packaging videos before, you know that normally I will make the first one and then I'll undo it and then I will kind of use that as a template and get everything ready for the rest of them. So typically I would have my ribbons cut to the right sizes, but I was kind of rushing in this video a little bit. So there is the blue ribbon that says it's a boy. I'm going to go ahead again and kind of fluff out that top and really pull it tight. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to kind of cut kind of like a moon shape curve up at the top. You do end up wasting a bit of the bag, but I have to tell you guys, the bags are not that expensive. They're very reasonable. I mean, I think I get like 500 for, probably less than $9. Maybe they're $9.99, something like that. And for me, it's easier to use the larger bags and then cut down as opposed to trying to struggle with smaller bags. So I tend to use the larger bags and I just cut them. I'm going to go ahead next and I'm going to cut that thinner ribbon, and that thinner ribbon is the perfect size to fit in the hole of the little charm. Those charms, I think they were 50 charms. They're silver. They're pretty good quality. And there were 50 in a bag for, again, probably $9.99, less than $10. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put that ribbon through the charm, add the charm, and there you have it. Couldn't be any simpler, guys.
La la